I've been a big fan of NES Homebrew games since I discovered them a few years ago when I got back into retro gaming, or what I sometimes simply call gaming. One of the best ways to learn more about NES Homebrew games and the whole homebrew scene is the Assembly Line podcast hosted by Bo of Soul Goose Productions and Kevin from Kevin Games. Kevin has been making games for many years, games you've heard of like Sneak and Peek, E.T., Leisure Suit Larry, and Scramble. Okay, so while you've heard of those games, because Kevin has often made ports of other games, he's also made some original titles you maybe haven't heard of, most notably Study Hall and The Incident. His latest effort is NEScape, NEScape, which is the first NES game to support the SNES Super NES mouse. Through an adapter you can make yourself or purchase online. Why a mouse? Because NEScape is a point-and-click game that might remind you of NES games like Maniac Mansion, Shadowgate, and King's Quest. But where NEScape differs is its mouse doesn't suck. Look at how smoothly it moves around the screen, whether you're using the mouse or the controller's D-pad. Smooth. Taking its cue from beloved escape the room games like Myst and the real-world escape rooms they inspired, NEScape places you in a room and challenges you to escape it, or NEScape it, if you will. And you might not, because this game is challenging. Basically, it consists of only 4 walls, like most rooms. There are things on those walls with which you can and must interact, puzzles to find and solve, keys to find that unlock new puzzles, and so on. Solving the puzzles requires finding, collecting, and sometimes combining items in your inventory. In true point-and-click fashion, you may need to try using these items on anything and everything in the room to test their effect. In general, while the puzzles grow in complexity, it's usually easy to see where you should focus your attention, and chances are that item you just discovered should be used right away. Thus, the game does have a sort of linear progression, and occasionally you may get stuck on one challenge until you can figure out what the game is demanding of you. Although you have only an hour, unlike a real-world escape room, you can come back again and again and think about puzzles for days until it all clicks into place. The game has dozens of such puzzles, and they're both well-designed and maddening. Some are as easy as turning on a light switch, while others are, not as easy. The game makes you feel like the smartest person in the room for one moment, and the dumbest person the next. Of course, you're the only person in the room. At least technically. Just like with a real escape room, I think you're better off tackling this one with friends, turning it into an old-school, in-person multiplayer game where you help each other solve the puzzles. Because you'll likely need help. The puzzles require a broad range of talents and knowledge, such as music and the ability to do these sliding puzzle things. I can't do these things, but my wife can. And my wife also knows how to play music, and she's just generally smarter than me, so I wouldn't have finished this one without her. And it was a lot of fun playing it together, because our skills complemented each other and we both noticed things the other
No friggin' way. That's you.
A game like this is pretty much only as good as the quality of the puzzles, which is high, and the artwork that represents them, which is also top-notch. Look at this detailed sprite work. The music is also amazing, which is good because you'll be listening to it a lot while you watch the clock count down. You'll know that the game gives you an hour to escape the room, but the game will take you much longer than that to complete. In my first playthrough, I made it through only a handful of puzzles in that hour. Depending on how good you are, you might breeze through it, but I doubt it, especially if you're going it alone. Some of the puzzles do require specialized knowledge, where you might need to look things up on the internet or phone a friend. If I'd been playing it on my own without any help, I would have spent weeks on it, or more. One puzzle in particular stuck with me, and I did eventually figure it out a few days later, and then I wanted to play it again to see if I was right. If you have patience and infinite time, NEScape will definitely keep you coming back for more. Some of the most impressive things about this game are happening behind the screens, and if you're an NES nerd, a homebrew aficionado, or someone who loves games, it's worth picking it for that alone. And if you're in that small Venn diagram of people who enjoy NES games and escape rooms, this is a must-buy. NEScape is available from Kevin Games on physical cartridge or digital. The cartridge is compatible with the original NES, the retro USB AVS, and the analog NT. Visit KevinGames.com to find out how you can get a copy of the game.